The other co-actor was Dhyan Srinivas.
Okay, so let's start our class. So today we'll
Okay.
discuss about how to create forms and models. For that, let us create one new project. So the first thing is we have to create our virtual environment. Next, activate it. So in this, we have to install Django. Okay. Now let's create the project. Project created. Next, create the app. Let's go with so app also created. So after the first step we have to do after creating an app is we have to integrate this app to our settings. So for extra clarification, if you want, you can give a commented name as local apps for clarity. Okay. So next
Okay.
we have to create URL store file, URL patterns equal to English, and we have to integrate this app URLs to particular URL in our main app config URLs. So for this, you have to import include, and then in path, you have to give the decide path for this app. So here I'm giving default path include my app dot URLs. So so far the settings we know is completed. So now let us create forms. So I guess you already know that what are forms. So forms are generally used to collect information from the user in web applications. Okay, so previously we used it to collect from user from the sorry, information from the user in the command prompt using input method in Python, right? But in real world, so whenever we are using web applications, so if you want to collect some information from user, we use forms. Okay, so forms like for login form, okay, address form, registration form. Okay, so all these are called as forms. Okay, for example, let us see. So if you log into Flipkart, if you want to log in, after clicking login, so it will ask for mobile number. Okay, so this is a form, right? Same way, if you open gmail.com, okay. So to create new account, so you have to enter some details like first name, last name. Okay, okay. So it will ask further more details like this. Okay, so these type of things are called as forms, which are used to collect information from the user and send back to the backend. Okay, so in front end we are collecting the user information and sending back to the backend. Okay, So let us see about how to implement these forms and how to collect data. Okay. So to implement forms, so in the app, whatever the app you are using, so in that app you have to create an additional file called as forms.py. Okay. So in this forms.py, you have to create the forms that required for this particular app. So for to create forms, I have to import from django.forms import form. Okay. So to create a form, we use classes. Okay. So I guess you remember classes in Python demo class. Okay. Classes are nothing
Exactly.
but blueprints. Yes.
Blueprint to create objects.
Yeah. So here I am simply collecting one name. So for that, I'm creating a class. So here we are creating forms, right? So to add form features to this class, what we have to do is we have to inherit this form method, form class into our form class. Okay, so we have seen about inheritance as well, right? So inheritance is nothing but accessing parent features to child. Okay, so here the
Child.
parent is this form, this form method. Okay, so we are accessing this form method features into our name form class. So in this, I'm collecting full name. Okay, so this is the class attribute. So here we know that there will be different types of data, right? So there will be text data, number data, date type data, okay, uh, choice data, okay. So there will be different types of form collection data, okay. So to collect simple text, you have to use char field, okay. So char field is used to collect text data from the user, okay. So you have to mention char field and you have to give a label name as full name or whatever the name you want to give, and you can mention maximum length. Okay, so for char field, you should definitely mention maximum length of characters that it can accept. Okay, for example, so this name can be about 100, maximum 100 characters. Okay, so that is the limitation. So this is a simple form. Okay, so I have created a simple form, so which will get just a full name from the user. Okay. So now to add this form to a particular view, you have to create a view. So go to view and let us access the form to this page from dot forms import name form. Okay, so which we have created in our forms page. Okay, so I'm accessing this name form into my views page. Okay, so dot in the sense, so in the same directory, so check for this forms file. Okay, so that for that purpose we are using dot. Okay, so dot is used to access the same file, same directory files. Okay, so dot forms means so the same directory forms file. From that file, I'm accessing name form class. Okay, so we have created name form class. I'm accessing that into this file. Okay, so here let us create a view. So in this view, we will get name. Okay, accept it first. So here you have to create the form object. Okay, so we have called the class, right? So class into this views file. So you have to create the object for this form by calling name form. Okay, so that object will be created. Yeah, Abhijit, can you mute the mic? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so here I have created the object for this form so that I can send this form to printer. Okay. So now let us create uh, a HTML page for this view. For that, I have to create templates folder. in my apps directory, and I have to create one more subfile as subdirectory as my app, and in that I will create name.html page. Okay. So in this page, I'll simply name form page. Okay. So now let us send this form to the printer. To send printer request, so you have to mention the path of this name.html, which is my app slash name.html. Okay, and comma. So in the dictionary, send form equal to form. Okay, so you are sending this form object to println, which means for this to this HTML, you are sending the form. Okay, so now, so let us try to let us give a URL to this view. Then let us try to access it. So from Django.urls import path. Okay, and next we have to import our get to view method from dot views import get name method, which is get name view. So for this we have to view the actual view, and giving for now I'm giving default view get name equal to. Okay, so I have created the link. Now if you try to run the project and serve it. Okay, so now if we go to for default page, so you are getting name form page. Okay. So now to display the form in this HTML page, you have to what you have to do is you have to call the form tag. Okay, so in HTML, so there will be form tag which is used to create forms. So using that, so generally if you want to create input fields, you have to create using input tag. Okay, okay. So like this, you can create input elements in HTML. So here you get this input form input element, so that you can here you can enter okay whatever the name you want to give. Okay, so in generally, so using basic HTML syntax like this you can create, but here we have already created uh, a form in our page. So what it does is it will automatically create the required input elements. Okay, so here what you have to do is simply add CSRF token, so which will add some extra security to your which will encrypt your data. Okay, so you should definitely mention this CSRF token tag so that your form data will be encrypted. Next, so you have to access form object. Okay, so here we are sending the form object, right? So here we are sending the form object to front end. So here you have to access the form object, and you have to give as p. Okay, so like this you can access. Okay, so now if you go and refresh, you will get full name. Okay, so previously, so I have created manually the input tag, but now because Django have form engine, so template engine, so it will automatically generate the required HTML code for forms. Okay, so you simply what you have to do is access this form object and So it will automatically generate whatever the fields you have given in your form.
Sir, what is CSRF token?
So CSRF token is used for cross-site encryption. So here we are using cross-site, which means we are using front end at the one end and the back end at the one end. So for to avoid some security threats, we have to use CSRF token. So it will add some encryption to your form data. Okay. So it's like a
Okay, sir.
protection layer. So it is compulsory to give CSRF token, else you will get an error. Okay, so now if you see here, so if I comment this code and refresh, so I won't get any form. Okay, so a form here, form is automatically generating. Okay. So now let us try to add few more form fields so that we'll get more idea. So we have seen already char field. So let us try to add integer field, which
Sir,
is
what is that underscore us underscore p denotes?
it is like there is no specific meaning. So it is generally to generate form we have to use the tag. There is no specific meaning. To automatically
Okay.
generate the form, we have to use that. Okay, so now let us create one more element, which is so to create that this import feature field, or instead of importing everything, we can do this from Django import forms. Okay, so here forms dot form. Okay, forms dot character. Okay, so now to get integer field forms dot integer from forms dot integer field. So in this, okay. So next let us add date of birth. So for date of birth, forms dot date field. Okay. Email forms dot email field. So like this, there are different types of forms. Now if I save and if I refresh here, before that I have to
Sir,
comment.
so we only have to specify the size of of character field.
Yes. So based on that, automatically the form will be generated. So else you have to create manually the forms using the input tags that I previously showed. But using this technique, it will automatically generate the forms based on the fields you have defined in your forms class. Okay. So like this, there are different types of data it will support. So you can access that from Django forms, and you can create these forms automatically. Okay, so let me show a few more important forms. So so next, uh, title for title forms dot choice field. So in choice field, so you can mention choices. So choices can be list of tuples. So this will be the visible data, and this will be the actual data that will be assigned to this title. Okay. So whatever the data you are giving in the right side, it will be visible, only visible data. Okay. So the actual data that will be stored in database is the left side data. So if you want, you can give the same data for both sides. Okay. I will show. Okay, so like this, you can give choices. Choice is nothing but to select an option from the given choices. Okay, so here I have given three types of choices. So now if you go to your front end and check, so you'll get choices. Okay, so from this you can select. So Mr., Mrs. or Miss. Okay, so like this you can select the choice whatever based on your gender and marriage status. Okay, so like this we can create different fields. So you can create checkboxes using Boolean field is active equal to forms dot Boolean field. Okay, so you can accept files using or image files using image field. Okay, so these are some major field names that we use in daily usage of forms. Okay, so Boolean field is used for creating check forms. Okay, so this image field is used to access images. Okay, so like this you can create different types of forms using Django. So instead of writing manual HTML code, simply what you have to do is create a class which inherits this forms class into uh, this class, and then we have to send that form to our front end, and then we have to represent that form using this form as p as a variable. Okay, so like this you have to create forms. So for this to add a button, so simply you have to add the normal HTML button, submit. You have to mention type equal to submit. Okay, so then only it will make a request to the form. So here you'll get the form submitted button. Okay, so before understanding how this form data will be transferred, you have to understand some HTTP methods that are used to make communication between front end and back end. So HTTP methods are the protocol, hypertext protocol, which is hypertext transfer protocol, which is used to make communication between front end and back end. Okay, so in this HTTP methods, there are major four methods. First one is get method, next one is post method, third one is put method, and the fourth one is delete method. So there are other methods like options and head. So, but these are the four methods that we use in general programming. So get method, HTTP method, get method is used to get data. Okay. So whenever you are requesting a website from front end to back end, so you get that you do that request using this get method. Okay. So here you can see, so in our log, you can see that whatever the request we are making, you can see that here the request name. Okay. So whenever we are requesting the website, so here I am requesting this website, right? So if I refresh, so you can see one more log. So previously only two logs. So you can see the third log, which is also get request. So here I'm requesting this web page, which is a get request. Okay. So get request is used to get information from the backend. Okay. Or server. So next post request. So request is used to post data, post or create data. So here, if you want to send some new data from front end to back end, so you have to send the data using this post request. Okay. Next, put request. So put request is used to update update the already existing data. So for example, in Instagram, you're updating your profile. Okay. So like profile picture or username, your username. So to do that, you have to send that request using put request. Okay, so put request is used to update the already existing data. Okay, so post request is used to create new data. Okay, for example, if you are sign up in for a website like Gmail, so the information in view in the initial setup, right? So that information will be sent as a post request. Okay, and next delete request. So delete request is used to delete the existing data. Okay, so these are the four major requests that we use in our daily usage to make communication with from front end to back end. Okay, but HTML by default supports only get and post. To use these four requests, you have to use additionally JavaScript or any other scripting language. So, but HTML forms by default supports only get and post request. So, using post request only, you have to do the put request as well. Okay, and the delete request as well. Okay, so like this, you can communicate from front end to back end. So here to create a new data. So using post submit, for example, it will be sent as a post click submit. Okay. So here it is asking to enter these details. Okay, so I made a submit request. So the request is sent to backend and it got reset. Okay, so all the old data got reset. So here what happened is, so if you see here, so here, if you see here, here all the data got sent as sent in the URL. So using CSRF middleware token, so you can see the encrypted token which is added to this URL and the title which is Mr. or whatever, full name Ramesh, okay, age 88, date of birth, okay, so email, so everything will be sent in the form request, okay. So now to read that request in the front end, so here, so until we mention what type of request this methods, this view should serve, so it will serve every request. So this method will serve for get request, post request, put request, delete request. Okay. So to filter to whatever the actions that should be done for the each type of request. So here we have to separate the code. So for example, if I'm creating, if I am sending data from front end to back end, so that will be the post request, right? So for that, if request dot method. So here we have this request parameter, right? So you can access the type of request we are making using this request dot method. Okay, so if request dot method is equal to post, so I will do something like reading that form data. Okay, else else in the sense we can consider it as get request. So in that get request, whenever I'm requesting the web page, I will send this form. Okay. So whenever I'm trying to put the data in the front end, I will, whenever I'm trying to send data from front end to back end, So in that case, I will use post request. Okay, so for that post request, I will do separate process like reading the data and saving the data. But whenever I'm just simply requesting the table, requesting the page, I will simply send the table, the form. Okay, so like this, you can separate the code based on the request. Okay, so because this view can handle all types of requests. Okay, by default. So whenever you are requesting this page, okay, so whenever you're requesting this page, so that will be get request. So because of that, so here this first condition will fail because the requested method is get request. Okay, so else condition will be executed. So in this else condition, what I'm sending is form. Okay, so in this form, so this form will be displayed on your web page. Okay, so now let's try to read the form data. Form equal to main form post dot post. Okay, so like this we can read the data that sent from front end to back end. So for easy convenience, let us remove all the major unnecessary parameters and let us take only two parameters like email and email. Okay, so I'm commenting all these parameters so that only these two parameters will be executed. All these commented parameters will not execute. So now if I refresh, so I have only full name and email. Okay, okay. So after submit, so previously after submit we got a refresh data, right? But now we are having same data because so here after submitting, so we didn't handle what does it should do. Okay, so here simply I'm printing the data. Second, so here we can read the data. So here I have read the data that we sent from front end to back end, and I'm printing that data on console. Okay, so using print command, I'm printing the data. So here I sent full name as Mahesh and email as mahesh@gmail.com. Okay, so this is the data that I have sent from front end to back. Okay, so we are able to successfully read the data we have sent from front end to back end. Let me try to change this. Okay, so after submit, so you can see that we got this Ramesh Rao and Ramesh gmail.com. So like this, we can send data from front end to back. So here we are not saving this data in any database. So that's why I'm simply printing the data that we are reading from front end to server. Okay. So in the HTML document, I have entered some data. So that data is sending to the backend using the post request. So here you can see So the request name is post, method name. Okay. So whenever the method name is post, so this particular code will be executed. Okay. So whenever you are requesting get request, okay, simply trying to access the web page, so this code will be sent. So which is just a simple form. Okay. Whenever you're trying to do post request, this code will be handled. Okay. So you can do, you can go from this page to another page using redirect method. So for that, from Django dot shortcuts import redirect. Okay, so already there is shortcuts. So simply comma redirect. Okay, so now you can redirect this to other page. So for that, let me create one more view. User details.html, which will have some user details. So details and you can display the user details. Let me create a view to handle this user details. So it need request name, full name, and in return under request my app slash user details details dot html, and the data will be full name that I am sending, reading the URL, full name, and email. Okay, so this is the data I'm sending to this page. So, and I will try to print that data here as email, which is the data that we read from tags. Next one is email. Okay, so here I am reading data from one HTML page. Okay, so here I'm sending data from one HTML page to backend. Okay, so which is this view. Okay, so here what I want to do is after post request, I want to read the data into this form variable, and I want to send this form data to another page, which is this user details dot page. Okay, so for that, let me create URL user details path user details. So in this, you have to access other parameters like string, full name, and one more string, which is email. Okay, so like this, you can access multiple number of parameters, and then now, so here I have to give user details view method, and then I have to give a name, which is user details. Okay, so like this, you can create the path. So now to redirect from one page to other page. So after processing successfully this post request, so first let us try to access. Okay. So now, so to redirect from, so after successful submission. So currently, so after successful submission of this form, so we are staying in the same page, right? So because, so in post request, it's simply reading data. Okay. So we are doing nothing. So so that you will get the same return method with this new form data that we have read. Okay. So now to redirect from this page to other page after successful submission, for example, if you created a new Gmail account, okay, so after creating new Gmail account, you'll get a message like, okay, you are successfully registered with us. You'll get the success page, right? So like that. So after successful submission of this form, so you should redirect from this page to other page. So okay, for that you have to use return redirect, and here also you have to mention the URL name. Okay, so for each URL you are giving an unique name, right? So to redirect to a particular name, URL name, you have to give URL name, so which is user details. Okay, and you have to pass the required parameters as arguments. Okay, so this particular URL is expecting full name and email. Okay, so you can access them using full name equal to, so form dot data full name. So the data you are sending into this form will be in the dictionary form. Okay, so that you can which can be accessed using form data. So which will return a dictionary. So in the dictionary, to access key field data of full name, you can use this square brackets and you can access the full data, full name data. Okay, and also you have to get email. So email forms dot data email form. Okay, form dot data dot email. So here, so after successfully reading the data that you sent from front end to back end, so I'm redirecting this page to another page by passing the data that we have sent in the front end. Okay, so this data will be displayed on that page. Okay, it's like you have successfully registered to your website, and you have redirected to your profile page. Okay, so now let's try it. So now if I send this submit data, so here you can see the page is changed to this user details, and here the data we have created, which is full name and email data. Okay, so let me try to create one more data. So here, okay, so you can see that this data is sent to another page, which is Suresh and Suresh email. Okay, so like this you can create forms, and you can send or read data from front end, and you can send the data to backend using post request, and you can process that post request separately by using conditional statements, if statement. So whenever you made a post request, so this particular code will be executed. Okay, so whenever you are just requesting that page, so which is a get request, you will get simply this form. Okay, so like this you can separate the same view for to handle different types of requests. Okay, so in this case, we have just two cases, which is hosting, creating new data, and sending a form to create new data. Okay, so like this, you can separate. So if you see here, there is no styling. Okay, so to apply automatic styling, we can integrate Django, sorry, Bootstrap into this as well. So let's try to integrate Bootstrap into this. So additionally, yesterday we have installed one module to create Django, right? Let's do the same. Okay, stop this server and first install pip install Django bootstrap v5. Okay, so after successfully installing bootstrap, what you have to do is go to settings. So in settings, you have to add this as bootstrap 5. Okay, so if you want to separate this, you can add a comment name as third party apps. Okay. So to automatically style bootstrap forms, you have to install few more modules called as pip install Django crispy forms, and you have to install crispy bootstrap 5. Okay, so you can install multiple modules at a time by simply giving a space. Okay, so this Django crispy forms is one module, and crispy bootstrap 5 is another module. Okay, so like this you can install multiple modules in one go by simply separating with the space. Okay, so you have to install these two as well. So, and after installing, you have to add these two to our settings: crispy forms, okay, and crispy bootstrap 5. Okay, so like this you can add, and you have to add additional two more variables, which is crispy allowed template tags equal to bootstrap 5. Okay, and crispy template tag equal to bootstrap 5. Okay, so like this you have to add these additional settings to your settings.py file. So what you have to do is you have to install Django crispy forms and crispy bootstrap 5 modules, and then you have to add these two names to your settings, which is crispy forms and crispy bootstrap 5, and you should also add this two variables, which is like settings. So crispy allow template packs, which is bootstrap 5, and crispy template pack is bootstrap. Okay, so now let us add bootstrap to our website. So to add, what you have to do is you have to go to your template page, templates, main.html, and in this you need to add the tags to integrate to import, which is load bootstrap file, bootstrap css, bootstrap javascript. Okay, so like this you can load. So now to check whether bootstrap is working or not, class text primary, so which will give declare to this main form page. So let us run our server again, which is python manage software and server. Okay. So now if you go and refresh, so here successfully bootstrap is integrated into our project. Now to add bootstrap styling to our forms, so to understand what are bootstrap forms, first go to bootstrap.com documentation. So here you can see forms. Okay, so these are the forms that are automatically styled. Okay, so there will be some styling differences between normal HTML forms and these CSS forms. Okay, so those will be automatically styled into proper latest UI, modern UI. Okay. So we can directly add that UI simply by removing this ASP. Okay, so before doing that, you have to load tags as well. Load crispy forms tags and load crispy form text. Okay. So after loading, So here previously we used just ASCII, right? Form ASCII, but instead now you have to use this pipe symbol, form pipe symbol, and crispy. So these are the previous forms, right? So now after refresh, crispy forms filter is not listed to be yes. Okay, so now you can see that automatically styling is applied. So previous we can see. So these are, if I remove this crispy and just add ASCII. So these are the HTML default form fields. Okay. So here what I'm doing is just removing that ASCII and adding this crispy. So this crispy will do styling. So here what you have to do is you have to adjust the size. To do that, so here using CSS, I'm giving width like 400 pixels. And, and next, okay. So if you refresh now, so you can see that it is reduced to this size. Okay, so previously it is occupied entire page. So now it reduced to 400 pixel size. So now to get this into exact center, so what I have to do is you can mention MX auto, which is margin. So margin in X direction, MX in the sense margin in X direction, X direction in the sense horizontally. I'm saying auto, auto in the sense, so equally give margin on both sides. Else you can give in the range of 1, 2, 3, right? So instead of that, I'm using auto. So auto will give exact center margin. Okay, so here I go. Give the division. So this entire division block will be moved to the center position. And then top direction, I'm giving margin top in 5. Okay, so to align this text into center, you can use text center. Okay. So this text is moved to center. So now to give some bootstrap style button styling to this method, so add a class btn btn primary. Okay, so which will create bootstrap button with the blue color. Okay, so now to move this to center, what I have to do is division block and in this block add class center. Okay, so this will create this form. Okay, so like this you can create modern design forms using Bootstrap automatically by simply installing additionally Crispy. So it will automatically add the styling to your automatically generated forms from Django. Okay, so like this you can create forms. So try to create forms using different fields like registration form, login form. Okay, so by using all these type of field names as per your requirement and do that task. Okay. So after creating basic forms using without applying any bootstrap, so whenever you got comfortable with the forms, then try to add these crispy forms to your forms. Okay. So any doubts or confusion?
The details that we are giving as an input should be stored in a database, right?
Yeah, but we didn't discuss about database yet, right? So we didn't entered into the topic now. That's why I just simply reading the data and sending the data to other page. But it's supposed
Okay.
to store in a database or something else.
Okay.
Yeah. For now, to understand that we are able to send data from front end to back end and we are able to read the data. So I have chosen this way because we didn't enter into the database topic yet in Django. Okay.
So can you explain once more step by step, like?
Like uh, so first to create
uh,
forms, we have to create forms in your forms.py page by importing forms and whatever the required field for your particular forms. And first you have to inherit this form into your class name, then only it will be considered as a Django form. Okay. So this is your first step, creating the form. Okay. And in the second step, you have to create a view that will have that which should handle the generated form. Okay, so to that view, we have to import this form and for get request. So get request in the sense, so whenever you are requesting that site particular URL that assigned to this path, so that will be get request. Okay, so here we are in the post request, we are handling when we submit the data. Okay, so that will be post request. So here you can see, so whenever I am trying to access the default website. Okay, so that will be get request. So which means, so this first condition will fail. So that request will be get, okay, the default condition. So in that condition, what I am doing is simply creating an object of this form and sending the form to this particular name.html. Okay, so in name.html, so what I am doing is simply displaying the form using these tags. Okay, so here what I'm doing is giving the details that required for that form and submitting using this by clicking on this button. Okay, so after clicking on this button, the request will be sent back to the same view. Okay, so but this time the request will be post instead of get. Okay, so because we are trying to send some data from backend to front end, sorry, front end to backend. Okay, so using post request, I'm trying to send some new data. Okay, so this time, so if you see here, nation@gmail.com, and if you try to submit, okay, so here what happening is, so you can see here post request happened. Okay, so in this post request, so I'm sending data to server. Okay, so here you can see, so this time, so this condition will be satisfied, right? So request method is equal to post is satisfied. So here you can see in the log we got a post request. So here what we are trying to do is trying to read the data that being submitted in the form. Okay, so we are reading the data again into this form variable. So in this form variable, we can access the submitted data using this form.data and the field name. Okay, so here what we are doing is, so after successful submission of this form, so I'm redirecting from this page to the other page. Okay, so using this redirect method, I am redirecting these details, forwarding these details to other page so that, so it's like a successful message. Okay, so you have successfully created your account. So these are the details that you have created. Okay, so like this, I am redirecting from this page to the other page. So the other page is, this is the URL name. Okay, so which is we have given a username details. So and it is expecting two details, which is full name and email, so that we are sending the details that we read in this form. Okay, so like this we can send as attributes using this syntax. So so we know that whenever return statement arrives in a function, so it will exit from the function. Okay, so here in the if block, so we got return statement. So it will exit from this view and it is redirecting to this particular view. Okay, so he in the get request, so this request will fail, right? So that's why this return statement is getting executed. Okay. So in the post request, this return statement is going executed so that it will exit from this view. Okay. So wherever the return statement first executes, from there your function cursor will exit from that particular function. Okay. So that's the flow. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So try to practice. Don't bother about post request first. Just first you try to create forms and try to display those forms on the HTML page using the syntax I have shown previously. So after that, try to access the data using these syntax. Okay. So the data you are reading into this form will be a dictionary. Okay, so in the dictionary, you will have the CSRF token, so which you don't have to worry about or consider about. So in that, using that CSR, including the CSRF token, you'll have this full name and email. These are the parameters that we have created in our form. Okay, so these two details will be available. So what you have to do is you simply have to access them, and if you want to store them in the database, you have to store, or simply you have to display them. You have to display. So that is the process. Okay. Okay, fine then. So today's task is that create forms and practice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.